Hello, Jakub. Thank you so much for joining this interview. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. And congratulations for winning the Digital Twin Design Challenge. How do you feel?
Thank you. Yeah, I feel really excited. I'm super pumped to have won and to have had so many people sort of look at my entry and consider it and like read my little blurb, get the message behind it. It's super nice to reach such a big audience through Bentley.
Yeah. All right. So, Jakub, I have like few questions to ask. So, my very first question to you is, what got you excited to participate in Digital Twin Design Challenge and what it means to you to win the challenge?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Initially, it was one of my friends who brought up the idea that, oh, there's this challenge floating around, and they showed it to me because they know that I used to build a lot in Minecraft, and I've been maybe building in Minecraft for, let's say, almost a decade. So I've got a lot of experience there. And so when I looked at the challenge, I saw that using this challenge, I can not only, do what I like building in Minecraft, but also address some like important issues in a creative way, right? Doing this through Minecraft, that's like maybe not a conventional way to sort of address all these issues. And so I personally was super excited that not only would I be able to, use Minecraft to build something cool, but also, I guess, reach a broader audience, sort of like I mentioned before, via this challenge. And so winning it is really awesome for me. I feel like um, I succeeded in my goal, right? Building something awesome, showing it to a bunch of people, and getting the sort of ideas that I wanted to get out there.
All right. And can you share something about your project and the idea behind it?
Yeah, definitely. So my project is called The Pebble, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But initially, when I was thinking about what I wanted to build and how I wanted to enter the contest, I was thinking, okay, what sort of problems can I solve? And the first thing that came to mind is housing. So where I live, there's always the issue with not enough housing, and this is a big problem going forward as the world's population grows. And so I figured, okay, this was going to be the first issue that I'd address. And then when I started doing some more research into just housing in general, I realized that apparently buildings and essentially just their operation, building construction, this actually accounts for a non-negligible part of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And so I wanted to sort of incorporate this into my project as well and somehow create a project that showed how we can, I guess, build more housing and build it in a sustainable way, because obviously global warming is a significant issue that we're facing these days. And so going into the project with these sort of ideas in mind, I started thinking, okay, what do I want to show in the project? How do I want to show it? And so initially for, okay, housing, I decided to build some apartment buildings. But then how do I incorporate this idea of sort of green apartment buildings and a sustainable apartment building complex into this design? And so I came up with a couple of things. Of course, I wanted a lot of green space. I wanted somehow to create a bit of a community around the apartment building. That way people wouldn't have to necessarily rely on cars to drive around and get all their errands done. And also, I'd like to somehow show that buildings can maybe leverage different sources of energy to sort of come together and hopefully achieve sort of a carbon neutral operating goal for the building. So I started out by coming up with these ideas, and then I figured, okay, well, to portray this in Minecraft, I want to portray it in a way that's sort of aesthetically pleasing and catchy to the eye. And obviously, if it looks nice, more people are going to look at it. They're going to read my little blurb, and they're going to get the idea that I'm trying to put out there. And so, one of the main ways in which I went about doing this, making it eye catchy through Minecraft, is by creating sort of big shapes. And so, if you look at my project, it's essentially a three-tower apartment complex. And in the middle of these three towers, there's this sort of donut toroid shape. And that's one of the first of these big shapes that I sort of incorporate throughout the project to make it eye catchy. And that's the reason why I call it the pebble, because there's like this little pebble in the middle of all the apartments. Along the bottom of each of the towers, I have some space reserved for commercial buildings, so a grocery store, a gym, all these things, like I mentioned, that help the sort of complex itself be its own community, so that people don't have to rely on cars to go and get their errands done. They can do everything or most things essentially right where they live. The other focus I had was green space, right? So around the apartment complex, there's a lot of open green areas. There's some benches outside people can sit on, parks for people to play. On top of this pebble structure in the center, I made that a green space as well. Of course, the trees help take out carbon dioxide from the air, but it also provides that nice sense of community where people can go out and play, enjoy the outdoors. So now moving from this pebble structure going up, that's where the apartments start. Each tower, I guess, has 3 different sections of apartments. I think that just looks quite nice, and it adds a little bit of diversity to the building, so it's not all the same all the way up. And if you know what I'd call them, some sort of rectangular cross sections that sort of jut out. And again, that's this concept of incorporating these big shapes into my design just to make it eye-catchy. Of course, maybe the design isn't super realistic, but I think sacrificing a bit of realism for a bit more aesthetic, seeing as how it's more of like an art project, let's say, I think that's pretty valuable here. Again, just to make it all eye-catchy so that people notice it and can take away what I'm trying to tell them. Now, as the towers go up, each tower on the roof, again, flat area, I figured, okay, put some green space up there. And the last thing I wanted to incorporate was some sort of renewable energy source that the building could use. Now, there's a bunch of options: geothermal, solar, wind, and I decided to go with wind because I figured I could portray that in the most unique way. And that's what I ended up doing. So on top of each of these towers, I have one of these tall helical wind turbines. And again, like I mentioned, not the most realistic, but in terms of art and design, I feel like, again, making these wind turbines big and sort of a unique shape, that adds to how eye-catchy the overall project is. And so that was sort of my thought process going through designing and putting this all together. And I think in the end, it worked out quite well. I'm pretty happy with how it ended up.
That's great. Your project was a great one. So my very last question to you, Jakub, is what makes you so proud about your project, and what do you think it will help improve the world?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy how it turned out. I think Bentley showing this project to a bunch of people out there, that's really going to help spread this message that okay, obviously we need more housing, but the surprise, like I said, for me was that housing has such a big impact on climate change and carbon emissions. And that's really what the idea that I want to get out there. So I feel like getting more attention to this project will help get more attention to this issue and maybe inspire some people to look at new ways to build housing, use more, I guess, green materials and different ways at powering infrastructure. So I'm very happy that I was able to reach a broader audience than just a Minecraft audience. And even with that, in terms of just Minecraft, I'm happy to have shown a wide range of people what you can really do using Minecraft. And so coming back from my Minecraft background, I feel like it's really awesome to maybe get some people inspired, and then they can start building in Minecraft as well for fun. So I'm really happy to have had this opportunity. It was super fun building the project, putting it all together, coming up with the ideas. And I'm happy that so many people got to see it, and hopefully the message gets out there, because I think it's important to realize these things, and hopefully my project has an impact, which I'm sure it will.
All right, Jakub. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I'm sure this is going to help a lot of other students who are gonna watch this video and your interview. And thank you so much again for joining this interview. And congratulations once again for winning the challenge.
Thanks so much.
You.
Thanks for having me.